So, used to be I'd give you a website and you'd have to buy all your own stuff. They sell these out here someplace. I think it's right around the corner. I pick up 1, 2, 3 of these. And the cost, I'm not sure how much they are.
25.
What's that?
25.
25?
We know that answer.
That's a little bit more. I thought they were gonna be around 20 or less, but some of these things do get a little bit expensive. These things run about $3. These things run about $5 or $6. You get a couple of each, get some extra light bulbs and stuff, so. But it is nice because it has everything that you need. I'm gonna pass this around so that you guys can, but I think this is the best idea because used to be people would buy from one website and the equipment would be different than mine. They would say like, well, my batteries hook up differently, like my batteries hook up like this. They can snap together, they can go like this, or you can hook them up with wire from here to here. And other ones hook up differently and it's just like, oh, I'm not familiar with that one. So it's that unfamiliarity that kind of takes a little bit more time when the kids are using these, and time is very important because this is a timed event. So, but there's leads in here, and it just can save you. Yeah, you'll have to decide if it's worth the $25 versus. I'd be surprised if you get it for less than 20, but you know maybe you can if you're a good shopper out there. Find something for less than 20 with the shipping and so forth. The other neat thing you get, and this is on the website. And it's also, I think, included in the bag, at least it's in the bag they give me, so I'm assuming it is it has just tons of stuff that I'm not gonna cover today, that I should. But I'm always torn between trying to tell you what I'm gonna ask and the concept theory of electricity, and I just don't have enough time in 35 minutes to cover both. So this kind of covers this. This is all your equipment. This is batteries and holders and how they work and how to hook them up. This is light bulbs and how they look schematically and actually and how you hook them up. Switches, how they function, how we want them drawn. Diodes, this is a new concept that we handed out last year. There's light emitting diodes, little lights, you can buy them for your house now. And regular diodes, and you can figure out how they work. Also building different types of circuits. Diodes, electricity only flows one way in them, so if you look at it backwards, it won't. These are some examples of how that works. And the new concept they added this year is resistors. So this year, they want to add 8 more teams. So that's 88 teams instead of 80. And I already do like 6 sessions, and they're almost all full. So in order for me to fit 8 more teams in, I have to add 1 more station. So typically, I do 7 stations at county. This year I will do 8 stations for county. So I have to add some more material. Mike came up with this idea to do some resistors, so I can tell you there will be some questions on county on resistors because this is a good thing for me to add more material. And then there's also a series of some drawings and so forth. So really good thing. You can print this out on the website. You don't have to pay $25 to get this information, but if you do this, save your time, sell some time printing and so forth. But I'm going to pass this around. And I think, I don't know if I put the resistors back in here or not. So I'm going to pass this around, but the resistors I'll hand out around separately.
They're on the folder right there. That was.
Oh, right here. Okay. Nice, thank you. So there, right here. If you want to
Keep
take
it
a
in
look
the
at those.
packet,
I think people might want to look at those close, so hand those out because that's something different. So you can see the little reds and blues and black stripes on there. Those all mean different things. And if you read the handout, you get an idea what that is.
So the packet last year doesn't have the resistors in it.
What's that?
The packet last year doesn't have
No,
resistors.
the one last year didn't. It's a new thing this year. So if you bought the packet last year, sorry. But but these things, resistors are 10 cents a piece. And like I said, you go down to, there's a guy on Harper, I think it's on Harper stores that really helps out a lot of parents. I talked to him from last year, and he says, "Oh yeah, I'll be more than glad to help our parents, blah blah blah, with this and that, and get some of the kids the information for the kids for you." And
The shop?
what's that?
The shop that's in Visitors?
Yeah, I don't remember what the name of it is. What's that?
Favorites?
I don't remember. I don't remember off the top of my head, but anyways, the guy's real nice and helpful. He might be able to give you some resistors for dirt cheap because those things are almost nothing. So that's the first thing I want you guys to all be aware of because I think that's a huge kickstart for your program where you don't have to wait and order some stuff. You can get started right now with it. The second thing I want to talk about, I just want to talk about this briefly. I don't like talking about this, but got a lot of parents. We're going to have almost 200 kids in there. Some of you parents want to win really, really bad for your kids. Really, really bad, okay. At the district levels, what I do, I try to do, I don't do it every year, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do it this year, is because there are so many new parents, I like to let you come in at the end of the test, and you can see the actual exam. I will have the exam, same exam that your kids just took, usually about 10 minutes after the last exam. And you can come in, you can look at the exam, you can get the ideas of what the exam's about, and so forth. The only thing I ask is that you do not take notes and write down what the questions are, and you do not take pictures, okay? Because only so many ways I can explain this, okay? I really only have enough material for 2 years. So if I were to let you come in, take pictures, and write notes on everything, if you did this for 2 years, you'd get 100%. By the end of the second year, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't get 100% on the exam. And then I'm going to have 20 teams that are all tied for first place. So in order, and then the new people obviously would be at a disadvantage. So in order to try to make this as fair as possible for the people that have been doing this for a while and the parents that are fairly new, I'll let you come in and do this. Now, some parents decide, hey, it'll make my job easier if I just went around and did that. Got the exam here. Kids study this. Chances are most of these questions, because probably 50% of the stuff I ask on district will be on the county event. So they've already got a head start over the rest of you guys. Other ones will write and take notes. I also let you guys come in and take pictures during the exam. Usually I'll have about 2.5 minutes for the session. So usually about 15-30 seconds after the kids transfer from one station to the next. I'll let the parents come in, take some pictures, as long as you stay around the edges, out of the way. Don't get in the kids' way, don't help. Mom, I got a question for you. Can't do that. What I caught, unfortunately, a parent doing last year at county was one parent was going around taking pictures of the kid, and the other parent was going around and do all the answers. So, this is a learning experience for the kids. It's not a memorization of, this stuff. And I know you want your kids to win, but again, the real winners on this are the kids that are going to enjoy this and carry this on to maybe a job with as an electrician or electrical engineer, or whatever the case may be in the future. So keep that in mind. Please, no cheating. Don't abuse that. If I feel that I can trust this group, I will let you in, because I think that is a huge benefit for you guys, because you guys are going to come in and say, I have no idea what type of questions. I'm asking this type of questions. You look at the district test and it's like, oh, I should be asking this stuff. So, I've seen teams that do very poorly in the districts. Once they saw how the test is formatted and set up and everything, end up coming in third or fourth in county. So it's not unusual to see that huge difference just because it's in what you guys have to teach, and there is an awful lot of material out there. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because I want to keep this positive, and I know 99% of you guys are honest and want to do the best thing for this. So let's move on and do the exam and answer some questions. I am going to go through this really, really fast because I have a lot of material. We have a short period of time, but if I'm going too fast and your eyes are starting to twirl, and raise your hand and say, hey, I don't understand this, and I'll explain this concept a little bit more, okay? But I want to try to give you as much time to answer questions at the end, but it's often more convenient if you interrupt me so that I can answer a question on that specific topic at that point in time. So we'll get started here. No more than 8 stations. I can guarantee you there will be 8 stations at county. I haven't decided yet at districts if there will be 6 or 7. So I like to make districts more of a learning experience where there's not as much pressure, and I teach more concept than worry about speed. But in that case, I'd probably go with 6, but sometimes there's some material I feel I got to cover this topic so that these kids know that this type of thing is going to be on the county. So I may end up having to split this up into 7 stations. What they'll be is they'll be literally 6 or 7 or 8 stations like this, and the kids will move from one to the other. Usually I have them in rows like this. Kids will start first, go to the table behind them, go to the table behind them, go to the table behind them. The last table will come up front. Usually also, the kids want an advantage is the easier questions are usually at the front of the room. The harder items are worth at the back. The harder items are also worth more points. So, and those are usually the hands-on things where they have to draw, build, measure something, will all be towards the back. So some of the kids want to do that first, some of the kids want to do that last and kind of work into it, figure out where your team wants to go, and once they go in there, they can decide where they want to go. I'll have 2 sets of rows usually. The team on the right never goes on the left, the team on the left never goes on the right. Questions are exactly the same at each one of those stations. They don't have to feel like they're missing anything. But sometimes they get a little overwhelmed when they see 2 sets of rows and it's like, oh my God, I got all these questions I have to answer. No, it will be 6 or 7 and it will be 8. I usually take 5 to 10 minutes to explain at the start what is expected of the kids. They pretty much know, but I just want to make sure I clarify some of the more confusing things that come up from the districts, and it usually takes me about 7 minutes. So if there's a few extra questions, I like to leave 10 minutes in there. So that leaves me 20 minutes for the exam, which is about 2.5 minutes. So I can tell you that it will not be longer than 2.5 minutes at county, at districts, because I got 6 or 7 tables. You know, it could be 3.5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes someplace in there, depending on the number of stations I have. I also try to make sure that your kids are done ahead of time, because I know how hard it is having kids in this event, trying to get all the way across Macomb, campus to do another event. So I want to make sure that the kids get out, if anything, a minute or 2 early rather than a minute or 2 late, because usually you only have 10 minutes to go from one station to the other, and it can be rather hectic. So if anything, we'll err on the short side and make the exam a little bit shorter. There are 2 students on a team. They may work together or individually, but they can only work at the same station. You'll have to determine how your teams work best. You know, some kids, I've seen it where one kid answers all the questions and the other kid does nothing but write. I've seen other ones where they collaborate and they get a ton of stuff done. You just have to figure out what's the dynamics of your team. I can't tell you which one's going to work best for that. We do have some scantrons this year. This is an example of a scantron. There's also a link to an example on the website. You might want to print these out. You might want to have your kids fill these out. Every year I ask the kids, are they familiar with scantrons? Everybody tells me absolutely 100%. Every year there will be probably 1 or 2 teams, well, 2 teams at one of the districts and probably 2 teams at county that will not know how to fill this out right. And if they don't know how to fill this out right, they're going to get a ton of wrong answers. I have a bunch of parents there helping me out, trying to make sure they fill these out, but sometimes we don't catch it for 30, 45 seconds into the exam. That means they have to erase a lot of things, and sometimes the erasing, the way the kids press hard, doesn't erase clearly, and sometimes a wrong score gets entered. So they do not circle, they do not put X's on there, they do not fill in a big 1/4-inch block that covers the whole thing. Just 1 or 2 lines right through the box, fill that out, and that's the best thing. They can go out, neatness doesn't count. I don't want them sitting there for 5 minutes or, you know, a minute answering one question, getting it perfectly filled in. This is speed, so they have to do it quickly. I found that a partially sharp pencil, a dull pencil works best because you only have to do 1 line through. That kind of works best, but you guys can figure out what works best for you guys. But please have them familiar with this. The other thing that comes up on this is I do have them put their name and school number on this and the drawing sheet. I think I got an example of the drawing sheet here. Yep, here. This is what I'll ask them to draw on. Sometimes there's 2 drawings, always be at least 2 drawings. Sometimes there's a 3rd drawing will be on the back, and then this is where I also have them write their tiebreakers. I also ask them to put their school name and number on here. Someone will forget this year. We had one team where we didn't catch it. How do I know what team number that is? And luckily we were fortunate enough that there were 14 teams in there. I had 13 numbers, so I knew that the last team was the 14th one, but sometimes I have partially filled groups. I'll have maybe only, when I have 16 teams in there, there might only be 10 teams. So I'm not gonna know which one of those 6 teams that I don't have answers for was the one that didn't fill it out properly. So I found what works really good, you guys have done this, is print little labels. So I need 2 labels with the school name and the school number. And they just tear them off and stick them on there and they're done. You know, because a lot of them, when I say, put your school name and school number on there, they see name, and it's Joey and Tommy, you know, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't help me know what school that's from, so, you know, but they're excited and stuff. And I just want to make sure that they fill this out properly, and they get all the credit that they deserve. I'm limited to 100 questions on the Scantron, okay? So the rest of it will be hands-on type of things. 1-point questions are typically true or false, or like I say, is something a conductor, an insulator, or both. Okay, these are fairly easy to guess, and I only give 1 point for. The harder ones that have 4 or 5 options, and I have some examples of these later on, are 2-point questions. So generally, anything that also is hands-on will be a 2-point question, because it takes a certain amount of work to operate, whether it's a meter or build a circuit tester or whatever the case may be. There will be several hands-on stations. One uses a meter. Typically, the kids don't do well in this section, so if you have a team, I wouldn't focus on it so much at districts, but at county, if you have a team that really knows their stuff, this is an area to focus on, because you're gonna get a lot of points. A lot of teams don't, because they don't do well with that one. The other ones that some of them struggle with is they need to build a circuit tester. Circuit tester is nothing more than 1 battery, 1 light bulb. There are better ones, so if you can come up with how to build a better one, then please do. Touch it, the light bulb comes on. So I will ask a question like, circuit 91 on this card is hooked up to circuit C. So the light comes on, and then they know that it's connected. So that's the way they do this. These are mystery circuit cards. There's instructional video on how to make these, but basically I just take a bunch of paper fasteners and some copper wire, attach it, and place the wires across, and put a piece of tape so they don't short out. So, and then I cover the back so the kids can't look and say, oh, and some of them will. I've had some of them try to take the fasteners off and say, well, that's how I do that, right? But no, on those cards, they will either use this, or use this, or both. I could have a question of 1 card at this station and 1 card at that station. Usually those are 2 separate stations. Make sure the kids bring a pencil. A lot of times they're shy. They need to bring a pencil because they got to put their school name and number on there, and they need to fill out the Scantron. Every once in a while we see some kids sitting there for about the first 30 seconds, and they're just like looking around. We're going like, what's going on? Oh, we forgot our pencils. I have pencils up front. I have more than enough pencils. If they lose them, whatever the case may be, have them ask me in advance for a pencil, where they can come up and get the pencil. I don't want that to slow any team down that they don't have a pencil, where the lead broke or whatever the case may be. But just make sure they ask and get it in advance. More than one is good, because like I said, the lead sometimes does break. They get so excited and they're pressing so hard that they do break. The kids need to draw the circuit. There is no bonus for neatness. Some kids like drawing these very elaborate, like computer drawn things. Great, makes it easy for me to score, okay? Love it, okay? But if it takes a long time for them to do it, they may not complete that task. So they'll have to look and see how many questions they have to answer on the drawing section and the best way to do it. So I've seen spaghetti diagrams that are just as functional as really neat ones. I'm more concerned about the concept than I am about the neatness. The one things that does help me out though is I ask kids to draw switches. Now I get a switch like this. I don't know, is that open or closed? I don't know, it kind of looks open a little bit, but usually if someone were to draw an open switch, it would look more like this. So what I do ask is they put a little arrow on it, and I have an explanation on this. If they draw it this way, the switch is open. If they draw it this way, it's closed. And that helps. I have a lot of people help me score, so I'm dependent on how they interpret that. If you want your kids to get 100%, have them put the arrow on there. There is no discussion. This is normally open, normally closed. Computer draws it real nice. Kids, because they're in a hurry, don't always draw it so nice and neat. So this. The other thing is if there are cross conductors, if I see something like this, you know, I'm going to assume that electricity is coming in and then going out to these 3 points here, okay? But that may not be the case. The kids may have just wanted to run a wire over to this light bulb over here, and the battery's over here, and there's a wire in between. Have them do this little horseshoe thing over there. That, again, is something that helps us determine whether they're connected or not connected. I will not have any drawings where the kids need to do this. But again, some of the kids like drawing their things, and they'll put their light bulbs at this end, their switches or the batteries over here. And the only way you can get them is to draw across, and they may have a couple lines coming in here connected to other things. So if that's the case, that's fine. I don't want them to erase everything and start all over again. That takes time. I'm only concerned about the concepts. They can do this to run a wire across, and I can make sure that they get 100% credit. So again, I'm trying to focus on making sure that the kids understand the concepts and so forth. There may be a section where the kids need to construct one or more circuits. This may be from either a schematic or a written instruction. Typically, if they draw or construct, I've used a verbal example, or not verbal, but a written example. Hook up 2 batteries in series, connect this in series to 2 bulbs in parallel. One switch controls both of the light bulbs. And then they have to draw that, okay? What I'm thinking this year is maybe, because again, we've got so much material, is maybe either having a schematic and having the kids build it from a schematic, and then also have one from that description. So there might be, like I said, a little bit, few changes in there, so they should be able to construct from both and at least draw a schematic from a written description, and I have examples in the handout. The construction must be completed in the allotted time, so I ask the kids to double check their work. I want to make sure that's a concept. I want to make sure that they just don't rush and do something, that they double check their work and they make sure that it's right. And then once they're sure it's right, raise your hand. Once they raise their hand, I will come over to check it. If I have time, I'll try to show them where they made a mistake. If they made a simple mistake, 1 or 2 things, then I can show them easily where those things wires need to be switched or hooked up in a certain manner, particularly at the districts, so they have an easier time at the county being able to answer those questions properly. But, you know, they raise their hand, I show them what they did wrong, they can't switch the wires and say, okay, now I got 100%. So they get one shot at it, and we explain that. The kids are real good about that. I just want to make sure that you guys understand that when you go through it, that you probably teach them in the same way. Say, do it, double check it. I'll always ask you, double check your work. Yep, okay, now I'll do it. The only essays or fill in the blanks will be tiebreakers. They are worth 0 points. Actually, they're worth like a half a point or something like that, but they are only counted if there's a tie. So if I have 2 teams tie for 5th place, I got to break a tie somehow. I have some tiebreaker questions, and typically I use either some type of essay or fill in the blank to determine the winner on that, and that's been very successful for me. So tell the kids that. They do not have to answer that. I tell them at the start, do not answer that question until all parts of that section are complete, and so forth. There will be some basic additional questions, total voltage of a series circuit. People have brought that up in the past, so if I have 2 batteries in series, what's the voltage of that? What's the resistance of 2 light bulbs in series? That type of stuff. All simple addition and subtraction. No division, no multiplication, no complex Ohm's laws. If you've ever tried to calculate the resistance of a parallel circuit, you know what I'm talking about, and it's, no, I don't even like doing it, so I'm not going to have 4th and 5th graders do that type of stuff. Batteries must show polarity on all drawings. This is one thing I want to focus on with you guys. Many teams lost points because they did not show the proper polarity. I will bet 25 to 30% of the teams in county gave me this. They got 0 points for their battery section on their drawing if they drew this. Okay, I need to see the plus minus. And one of the reasons for that is I'm really not picky if the kids draw a battery like that, where both of those things are, you know, almost identical length. I'm not going to get a micrometer out there and say, yeah, this is the longer one, that type of thing. What I'm really going to teach is the concept is if they put a plus or minus on there, I can tell the polarity of that system by putting that on there. Now, we typically always have one large, one small, and then depending on whether if you were in the service or you're in the civilian and electricity, this plus or minus can be on either side. So again, that's another confusing thing. So I'm not too big about where the pluses and minuses are as long as they're on there, because when you get to things like diodes, it's very important to know if this light is going to work. If this was switched, this light would not work. If it is set up this way, it would come on. So that's a very important concept. Please make sure the kids do that, and then also on the diodes, because nothing worse than seeing a 100% complete test and then I got to give them partial credit on that section because they didn't give me a plus or minus. So teach the kids right from the start. Once they do that, they'll do that every single time. There are 4 types of switch-ins I will ask questions on: single pull, single throw, single pull, double throw, double pull, single throw, double pull, double throw. Everybody got that? These are the 2 that I'm going to be focusing on. This is the one that comes in your kit because it can do both of these. These things are a little bit more complex. I'm probably going to ask a question or 2 on this, but not a lot on this. I mean, they use these for different things and they are kind of neat. I want the kids to understand when you turn on the light switch, it's not always this. It could be this, could be this, could be this, could be several different types. So it's just helping them understand. But this is a single pull, single throw. Single pull means that it has one set of levers on there, connection, source of electricity, whatever you want to call it, and it only goes in one direction. So single throw throws one contact, okay? Single pull, again, single connection here. Double throw can go this way or can go this way. And I used this last year on accounting exam for the constructive circuits, and nobody got it right. There was probably 5 or 6, very, very close. But this is something that's really important, and it's really kind of a neat thing. You know, I can turn on my heater here or my air conditioner on here. So it's something that's used quite a bit. So I'm going to ask some questions on that. The only tricky thing, and I did explain this the last session, so you guys got a little advantage with this, is one of the power leads always have to go here. Okay, so then if you're going to use this, you can use this as a single pull, single throw, and just hook up your contact here or here. But if you hook it up here, there's no way for the electricity to get from here to here. So you have to make sure that one wire, and always get in the habit of either put the red or the black one there, it doesn't make any difference, but teach the kids, always teach them. One first wire goes here, second wire can go either way, or in some cases may go to both. Best thing to do is hook this one up directly to the battery. So whenever it comes from the battery, it goes right here, and then you can send it off to this set of light bulbs, and then this could be a fan or a motor or something like this on this side, so whatever the case may be. So that's just an idea of what you guys can do with that. Oh, there are 2 types of light bulbs that I use. I will have them both out there. I'm going to eventually switch to one type or the other. I don't know what. This is the type that comes in your kit. The advantage of this one, the disadvantage is these things sometimes are kind of hard to grip onto. Sometimes they're really easy, sometimes they're not, depending on where the screw's sitting in there. But this light bulb can come unscrewed very easily. So if the kids hook it up and say my light bulbs aren't coming on, when I have them construct, I don't care if the light bulb comes on. If it's hooked up properly, they're going to get credit for it. So just have them tighten this up, and that's a good thing. This one, some of them will tighten this and tighten this and tighten this and tighten this and tighten this until this thing bends so far that it's not making contact anymore and it doesn't work. So that's the difference between the 2. This one's really good until they mess it up. This one's a lot easier to fix. So that's why I have both of them, and your kids may have either or. So one may be easier to use than the other for your group of students. All charged up information, videos and so forth are located at this point, and I just want to show you, if you haven't been there, this site, I went there last night, and there is just tons of stuff. Everything for Science Olympiad is here in one of these columns, but you have the event rules, you have notes from me, which will be this handout and the answers to the questions. There is a past workshop on here. I don't like handing that out, but it's already on the website, so it's yours free for this year. So there's some more questions that you guys have that can help you out. Examples of scantrons, the video of me kind of showing different concepts so you can actually see how things are done. Any questions, you click on here. A lot of frequently asked questions are right here, okay? So ask them first. If you don't get an answer in a week or 2, They will answer any question directly related to the exam about a technical concept. They don't always answer other questions not related to that, like how much time at each station, or, you know, what station should I